In this video, we'll talk about physical climate risks, one of the two risk types associated with climate change. We'll cover what physical risks are, their financial implications, how to assess them through the investment process, and some of the investment opportunities that may help to prevent or reduce their impact. We covered the other risk type, transition risks, in another video. Physical climate risks are financial risk and losses that can arise from the impacts that the changing climate is having on our world, including destructive storms, flooding, wildfires, and more. These events often result in significant financial loss, productivity loss, indirect supply chain disruptions, or closures. Some of the impacts of climate change are unavoidable. So investors need to proactively manage physical climate risks while simultaneously reducing greenhouse gas emissions, because with every increment of warming, changes in climate become more extreme and risks become larger. The physical climate risk equation is a consistent framework for investors to assess physical climate risks. It consists of assessing three components: climate hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. A climate hazard is an event such as a flood or drought that may cause damage to physical assets, services, and ecosystems, or cause loss of life and injury to humans. Acute and chronic events are the main physical risks drivers. Acute events, which are extreme climate-related weather events such as heat waves, landslides, floods, wildfires, or storms. Because of climate change, these events are becoming more frequent and intense over time. The second type are chronic events. These refer to slow onset or longer-term shifts in the climate, such as changes in precipitation, rising sea levels, and average temperatures. While these risk drivers may seem more manageable due to their longer time frame, they can still have equally significant consequences. For example, it may no longer be possible to grow certain crops in areas where the local economy depends on them, or coastal areas may be partly submerged in water. Exposure is dependent on the geographic location of an investment, its financial value, and position in the value chain. Vulnerability consists of two components: sensitivity and adaptive capacity. Sensitivity is how susceptible an asset or business activity is to the effects of a climate hazard. For example, a business that's highly dependent on fresh water supply is more predisposed to be adversely affected by droughts than a company less water dependent. Adaptive capacity is the investee's ability to adapt to the hazard by altering its exposure and vulnerability over time. It is important to understand how exposed and vulnerable an activity is and the measure it has in place to avoid, prevent, respond, or recover from the hazard. Screening for physical climate risks and determining risk materiality are the initial steps in integrating physical climate risk assessment and management in the investment process, followed by identifying adaptation solutions to mitigate them, which will be covered in the next section. There are various products, technologies, services, and practices that can enable people, economies, and the planet to manage physical risks. Examples include AI-powered weather monitoring and forecasting, floating solar PV systems, drought-resistant crops, wastewater reuse and recycling technologies, and passive cooling solutions for climate-smart building design. Meanwhile, nature-based solutions like wetlands are critical in enabling infrastructure projects to adapt to climate shocks. Investing in adaptation and resilience solutions is a $2 trillion investment opportunity that has socio-economic benefits that the private sector can't ignore.